Hello, my name is Bridgit Mulrooney. No matter what name you choose, whether it's marijuana, pot, or weed, it all has the same effect on the human body. Why would anyone want to legalize that ugly vomit green substance that stinks up the whole room? Today, I want to tell you why legalizing marijuana is a bad idea. Marijuana has many effects, both physically and mentally, like every drug or foreign substance you put into your body. Any type of drug is not appropriate for any age and should not be legalized. Marijuana has affected many people all over the world. This drug is most often considered at the bottom of the drug totem pole. Unfortunately, many people fall victim of the drug in addiction and death. Marijuana can have many effects on a person's health, mentally and physically. Mentally, people can face depression, suicidal thoughts, schizophrenic attributes, and anxiety. Depression and suicide is a very big effect of marijuana. Weekly marijuana use nearly doubles the risk of depression and suicidal thoughts. Like stated in James C. Anthony's article and John English's article, many people don't realize that schizophrenic attributes are associated with marijuana use. Did you know that 4 out of 5 schizophrenic patients were regular marijuana users when they were between the ages of 12 and 21? THC found in marijuana produced schizophrenic-like attributes in healthy people. Marijuana also affects people physically. Many people smoking marijuana face respiratory failure similar to tobacco use. They find themselves coughing, having phlegm production, chronic bronchitis, shortness of breath, and wheezing. Smoking marijuana may also increase the risk of respiratory exposure by infectious organisms. Since cannabis plants are contaminated with a range of fungal spores, you may find yourself ingesting mold and fungi. Marijuana also affects the arteries of the brain. It narrows the arteries similar to patients with high blood pressure or dementia. They also lose molecules called CB1 receptors in the brain's arteries, which can lead to blood flow problems in the brain, which can cause memory loss, attention deficits, and impaired learning ability. The most common effects of marijuana is memory loss. Current marijuana users who smoke at least 5 joints per week did significantly worse than non-users who, when tested on the neurocognition tests such as processing speed, memory, and overall IQ. Not only does marijuana have physical and mental issues, it also stimulates more crime throughout the victim's life. Crime is a big factor when thinking about legalizing marijuana. Legalization would increase the chances of the drug falling into the hands of kids. 68% of males and 63% of males that were arrested for burglary had marijuana in their system. 65% of males and 76% of females that were arrested for robbery had marijuana in their system. And 48% of males and 61% of females that were arrested for public disturbance had marijuana in their system. Crime goes hand in hand with drugs. Marijuana has been known to be a gateway drug. If marijuana is taken between the ages of 18 and 25, this leads to the victim trying out other harder drugs such as cocaine, heroin, and prescription drugs. People who use marijuana are 2.5 times more likely than a normal person to become addicted to harder drugs. Marijuana is a stepping stone to test out other drugs because a drug user figures, well, if this drug makes me feel so great, then this one will too. Being a gateway drug is only one of the many aspects of marijuana. In order to completely understand how this drug works, we must look at the science behind the drug. Many people who smoke marijuana do not know how it affects their brain. When a user smokes marijuana, the THC chemical enters the lungs. Passing through the lungs, the THC enters the bloodstream, which carries the chemical to the human brain. In the human brain, the THC sets off a series of reactions in areas known as cannabinoid receptors. This reaction in the human brain is what causes the high attributed to marijuana. The typical form of marijuana is found on the streets is leaves, stems, and seeds that are all shredded up into flakes, and it looks somewhat like oregano. This drug can be smoked out of a pipe called a bong or cigarette-type paper called a joint. The drug has THC in it, which when consumed gives you the high effect. THC can have many effects on the brain. The compound travels quickly through your body. When THC is absorbed into the bloodstream and is carried into the brain, depending on where the dispersion of the cannabinoid receptors, it will begin to have various effects. The high or feeling of euphoria can typically last from 15 minutes to 2 hours, depending on the quantity of THC consumed and the tolerance of the particular individual. Now that we know all the effects of marijuana, it is important to understand the harsh reality of the drug. Like stated in Jorgen G. Barnes, Kabani Hassan Zaire, and George Moreland's articles, marijuana can cause loss of coordination, audio or visual distortion, lack of time perception, and feelings of euphoria, insecurity, joy, or paranoia. It is not safe to have people out on the streets and driving cars knowing that marijuana is affecting them the same way as alcohol is. Marijuana is illegal for a reason and should remain illegal. This drug is not safe and should remain off the streets. Marijuana is not a drug to be messed with, and many people do become dependent and addicted to this drug. Marijuana needs to be treated just like any other drug and should be taken just as serious. The end. Okay, you can turn it off.